We'd like to give a special shout out to the following people for making this episode and the rest of Act 3 possible: Louis, Malaya, Reg, Daniel Athern, Osterkim, Vanna, Finch, Dr. Dan Venning, Sleepless Berrey, Court, Rogue Canoe, John and Muna, Sadie, Zay the Great, Elliot Kane, and Trident. Thank you for your support. Maraming salamat. You're listening to Hainai by Motsi Dapo. Episode 85. Mangangaso.
Is that blood? Jesus, that's a lot of blood.
It's been decades. I guess the blood got absorbed into the ground or something.
We definitely shouldn't be here.
Too late for that, buddy. But we can get the blood in the shot. Adds to the creepiness. We don't gotta pull out the EVP if the floors make our viewers freak out.
But imagine if the spirit box says something about the killer. This episode's gonna hit 2 mil easy.
Did you guys hear that?
Save it for the shoot, Sal.
No, I mean it. Didn't you hear the... Is someone up there?
Fuck, did we catch that?
Yeah. Not on camera. But I've had this recorder running just in case something happens during prep.
See, that's why you're the brains of the operation, Call.
You're seriously not even a little freaked out?
Gray probably fucked up with the soft box and it fell over again.
That was one time, asshole.
Sal, come on. Are you really that freaked out by this place?
Are you not? D, there's literally blood in the floor. In the fucking walls. Cult shit. We know people died here.
People die everywhere. We just so happen to have a stunning visual. Look, I know you got anxiety, but you've never been like this on a shoot. What's wrong?
I don't know. This place just feels wrong. I don't know what it is.
It's just like any other shoot, Sal. Don't worry. Deep breaths, okay? Hey, how about this? How about you go upstairs where it's still light out? Check to make sure nothing's fallen over. Maybe go over the articles Gray downloaded, so you don't get anything wrong in the voiceover.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dee.
Let's start with the wide sweep of the basement. Make sure to get a lot of footage of the weird cult stuff on the wall. Get some photos so we can edit them in. Night vision should be good for the video, but make sure we've got some lighting for the photos. We gotta get the subreddit to look up these symbols for us in case we can make a separate video about the cult this guy was clearly a part of.
Sure, but maybe after we get the footage, we can move the planning upstairs? It really reeks down here. I can't stand the stench.
What the hell are you talking about, Colin?
What? You can't smell that? It's like, meat, but with a side of sulfur.
Really? I don't... It's an old place. I'm surprised the wood upstairs doesn't smell worse, to be honest.
Didn't Katie's friend mention that this place caught fire back in the day?
I mean, it doesn't look like it caught on fire. Maybe a little damp and dusty from decades in the woods, but... Are you sure you're not just mixing it up with another site?
I could have sworn. Christ. Sal has the research. I'll double check once we finish up here. His name is Vernon Greenwood, and for a significant portion of his significant life, he was a big game hunter. Early on, it was a thrill for him, for he could still die. The knowledge of that death, looming over him like the fabled sword, kept him sharp, kept him alive. He might not have had wit sharp enough for rapport and rhetoric, but for the hunt, for the chase, for survival, well, no man had sharper. But ever since he gained immortality, he felt himself grow lax, a blunted weapon, certain of his survival. Even if he should fall to things that would end a mortal man's life, it would only ever be temporary. They had once posed the question to Savard, how far their immortality really went. For they still felt pain, though that sense dulled over the years, at least by his observation. Would they simply go on to feel pain without dying to relieve it? Would they lose their wits for a while, before they recovered? It was then Savard told the handful of them the truth of their longevity, that while they could not age, they could still die, but only by certain means that left neither heart nor brain intact. The simplest of these, of course, was immolation, the absolute destruction of the body, which was something someone like Savard could easily do. They could, according to Savard, die briefly, before returning once their senses were intact. It was a frightful thing to think about, an indication that there was no soul, no God, no heaven or hell. Void until the return of the senses. Was that the true price they paid to become gods on earth? That God himself would forsake them? That their souls were no longer immortal, only their bodies? Or did they walk without soul, as elders, after the first time they died? He remembered fighting against the elders who fell in battle against the puppet master, resurrected only to be turned against them. He wondered then, did they still have their souls, but not their free will? Or were they empty shells, nothing but powerful puppets? He pondered on these things as one who brought death upon others. He had killed elders in that battle, but they just kept coming back. They returned and returned until their strings were cut, and they saw a mighty wave of souls depart from puppet bodies. That, at least, answered his question about the soul. Though, of course, he couldn't be sure when those souls departed, if elder souls were among them. Greenwood had, long ago, offered his services as a hunter to the benefactor, to whom he'd sworn allegiance. The benefactor said he would call on him when he was needed. But somehow, he never was. He did see, however, who was called in his place. One of them was Minerva. He had felt such disgust to be overlooked for a woman who seemed so very peculiar, always dressed in red, from delicate neck to delicate glove. Not the type that seemed like she would get her hands dirty. But then, one day, he spoke to her, and she told him of her spells, her skills in tracking, hunting, blood scenting. She was not like he was. In her eyes and sharp smile, Greenwood saw the look of a predator, one who hunted for a good meal, not for hollow skins and trophies. Her delicate, finely laced dresses and silk and satin gloves were a sort of camouflage for her hunting ground, the city, rather than a jungle or savanna. She was quite used to hunting, and given leave to by the benefactor, for she only hunted killers and stalked them to know where the scent of blood came from. For her greatest power was knowing when someone had taken a life, and her skill came from knowing the circumstances under which the killing had occurred. She knew more than he did, and though he asked for use of her spells, well, she didn't refuse, but she did tell him that he ought to be prepared for what it would do to his body should he take on her spells. And her descriptions were so grotesque, so horrendously inhuman, that he refused her before his stomach turned out its contents. After that, he could admit that he respected Minerva. He even feared her. But he was a different sort of hunter, not like her at all. The other who served under the benefactor was one that Greenwood did not like, respect, or trust. But he did, like all the rest, fear him. Salai was not like the other elders. He came from nothing, and his origin was largely unknown. He apprenticed one day under the weakest of elders, and yet was one of their strongest, or at least one of the most dangerous. It galled Greenwood that a nameless child would be trusted with such an important task, but he couldn't deny that this fresh-faced elder assassin was effective. For Salai had killed elders, not in war, but as the benefactor's silent knife, who somehow perfected a spell that allowed him to walk in dreams, a spell he shrouded in secrecy and refused to share with the rest of them. Where Minerva was an open book, confident that none would make the sacrifices she made of her own body, Salai simply did not care to disclose his methods to other elders. Perhaps because, under the benefactor's own direction, he saw every elder as a potential victim and plotted their downfall behind his cold, star eyes. Still, Greenwood's target now was no elder, and they had little experience with what Richard Henry called natural users. Greenwood didn't quite understand what he meant until the right hand said that the young girl, Laurie, who was the puppet master's companion in their great war, was herself a natural user. It may well have been the reason the puppet master had the upper hand, and Richard Henry certainly implied that it was. So he was careful, especially after that night when Richard Henry was taken from their gathering by the woman he had warned about. He was careful, but driven when he sought that woman out, the woman that caused so much terror to their order, and eventually found her in the city after days, weeks of searching. She was a strange one, to be sure, for he found her when she wandered at night, seemingly with purpose, yet without sense. She marked places down with symbols he could not read, though he took note of them for study. He saw her waning over time, repeating this act over many nights, for reasons he could not fathom. But it was beneficial to him, nonetheless, for she was not at her fullest strength when he was finally prepared to face her. He had gone to Salai one more time before he went on this hunt. He asked how he hunted, how he stalked elders. He expected nothing from the young man once again. But Salai did ask him a question, in exchange for his own. Who did he intend to hunt? Who did he intend to stalk? What exactly was his chosen prey? And when he told him, he tired of the benefactor's lax response to one of their own being taken by an enemy. Salai laughed, said that not even he, the elder assassin, was foolish enough to take that job on. But it was simply evidence for Greenwood that the benefactor and his hunters would be of no help in this fight against a threat that loomed large over them, so quick to disrupt them in just a single year. He did not fear the benefactor's ire. As long as he succeeded in hunting down their great enemy, as long as he succeeded in killing her, or at least subduing her. When he once hunted great prey, he used weapons that could take a beast down in one fell swoop. Such was the nature of the hunt. All could be subtle, all could be quiet, until the kill. The kill could be loud, could be violent, could be thunderous in its explosive power, but it had to be decisive. So, as an elder, Greenwood took on the most violent of spells. It made him quite the asset on the battlefield. He might not have mastered Savard's old fire spells, but fire was not hard to propagate, as long as there was enough fuel. Concussive force was natural to one who understood violence, and such spells were as natural to Greenwood as throwing a punch or shooting an elephant gun. Violence and power were Greenwood's domain. Though he was not a fool, he knew when best to strike with great force, knowing he often only had one chance to do it. One night, he found her, alone, dead on her feet, muttering to herself like a madwoman. An easy kill. He wondered why the benefactor hesitated in finding her, when she made it so very simple. Greenwood raised his hand, spoke the words of power, released his most violent spell, and then
You're listening to Hainai by Motsi Dapul. Hey everyone, it's Motsi, creator and showrunner of the Hainai podcast. Hainai is a podcast produced by Motsi Dapul, Yoy Halago, and Alyssa Jimenez, and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. This episode was co-produced by Jesse Goodsell, and written and directed by Motsi Dapul. The role of Other Mary is played by Motsi Dapul, and the role of the YouTubers are played by the following amazing actors: Lou Sutcliffe as Colin, Daisy McNamara as Dee, Taylor Michaels as Sal, Jamie Petronis as Gray, and Kevin Berrey as Van. If you'd like to chat with other listeners when this episode goes live, we do a live premiere every Sunday at 9 p.m. ET or Toronto time on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HainaiPod. To help support the production of Hainai, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/HainaiPod. You'll get to be part of our early access program, where we release episodes 3 days early on Thursday at 9 p.m. ET or Toronto time. You can also get bonus video, audio, art, and much more. Speaking of Patreon, we'd love to give a special shout out to the following patrons for all their amazing support: Pamela, Petra, Emily Cole, Maha, Sai B.A., Prinks Variety, Didi Chanak, Chandra, Tony Baloney, Nay, Poyo, Phoenix Luna, Kate Jordan, Sabine, Ben, Jess Snow, Nanette Dapul, Mika, Matt Upton, Anna, Sooks, Becca Terrier, Melissa, Flying Cabbage, Faye Fungi, Pablo Neurotic, Oster Kim, Megan, Jesse Goodsell, Malaya Light, and Victoria Goodwin. Thank you for all your support. If you subscribe at the ATE tier or the $10 tier and above, you get bonus episodes, bonus content, the full B-sides, and you get your name shouted out on every episode in the credits, just like our wonderful supporters here. If you can't subscribe monthly, you have the option to buy us a milk tea on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/HiNaiPod. Our ad-free Hainai album, which has our official music and full episodes from Act 1 and 2, is also available for both patrons and to purchase on our coffee shop. Check out our website, HiNaiPod.com, for more info, and follow us on all our socials, on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky, and even our YouTube posts, at HiNaiPod, for updates and more information, especially when we have special events. And as always, thank you, we love you, and hanggang sa muli.